Is that what's fucking you up? Because I keep saying You're just waiting for another one to come
Oh, man. That's great.
So what, did you have something in mind that you wanted to talk about? We could talk about the survey. We can revisit one of the statements. We can explore a claim that you have. We can explore a claim that I have.
Yeah, we could talk about what it's been like to edit it, but I think that's question 25. So what would be most useful for you for this test? So, imagining that rather than it just be a test, that it goes successfully and it's something that you want to put up, what would you like it to contain?
I'd like to have more one-on-one interviews.
Okay. Do you want to have an interview with me then? And do you want to SE me or do you want to just interview me? What do you want to do?
Well, I guess to have an SE interview that I can upload, unless we have somebody else that's interested, then
Like if someone shows up,
yeah,
you mean?
if somebody wants to do one, we can do that. But we're basically doing kind of a test here for camera stuff and audio stuff.
Yeah, that's the main goal.
Yeah.
But I was thinking if it goes well and we end up, this is totally usable, let's have a conversation that you would maybe want to post.
Yeah.
And if not, then whatever, we got to have a good conversation at least.
Yeah. Yeah. So has anything been on your mind about something that you'd want to maybe explore and possibly adjust your confidence in it based on based on asking questions about how reliable the way in which you're arriving at the confidence, or we can do it. You can do me, I can do you. Doesn't matter, and it doesn't have to be. This is a little bit crooked. I just want to fix it. It doesn't have to be too deep. It can be something.
Okay.
Something real light. We can keep it light, or we can go as deep as you want.
Well, tell you what. Let me bring up a thought that I've had recently, and I don't know if you'd call it a belief or not, but you know, I'm a fan of sci-fi. I'm curious about this race to Mars, which Elon Musk at least is engaged in. And a thought occurred to me about it all. And the thought is this: all of the things that are being prepared and speculated over, and you know, all of the tools like biodomes, because to actually be able to live on Mars and colonize Mars, there's going to need to be technology that will make it so people can breathe up there, people can live up there in, let's say, some kind of domes or whatever the ecosystem would look like. It would be an ecosystem that would be able to be self-contained, self-sustainable, and in the middle of a harsh environment. But it occurred to me recently, with global warming, with climate change, that that's going to be technology that we may need to rely on to continue living on Earth. And so the lessons that we're learning, or the tools that they're creating to be able to colonize Mars, I wonder if there's going to be like this side effect that happens where now we've got some ways that we can make it so that we can keep living on Earth. You know, yeah. If things continue to decline and accelerate in declination, we're going to need something like that, some kind of terraforming of Earth almost. So I don't know if that's something we can explore, but it's something that it's come up a few times, and I've thought, oh, that's interesting. All this research that's going to be needed to be able to colonize Mars, we'll be able to use all of those tools. We may have to use those tools to be able to continue life here. Is that worth exploring? I don't know.
We've got this race to Mars right now,
Right.
and in order to live on Mars, we're going to have to take with us and set up a habitable version of Earth,
Right.
like a small version of Earth,
A biodome sort of situation.
yeah, to take with us so that we can build there, so that we can live there, and in doing so, developing the means in which to live on Mars in that way, we may have to create a miniature version of this habitable Earth, version of Earth, in order to continue living here.
Yeah, if the atmosphere becomes, you know, toxic for us, which with carbon dioxide and stuff, it seems to be heading that way. And you know, the heat changing, because the surface of Mars, I think it's cold, not hot, even though you think of it as hot because it's red. But like, you know, having temperatures in which a human being can't live is true in Mars, and what we're seeing with climate change is that may soon be true for Earth. And so then the same biodome that you'd live in Mars, all the lessons learned and the technology we could use here, and we may have to use here.
So how could we put this in a claim, like in a claim?
Yeah, what's the claim?
What's the claim?
Okay.
And then if we put it in a form of a claim or a conclusion, then we can explore it using street epistemology.
So there is one version of this. It's a bit of a conspiracy theory lean, but it's occurred to me that the whole reason we're focused on Mars is because there's people behind the scenes that are wanting the technology to be developed that we would still then be able to use on Earth. And of course that means whoever's got the money that has the access to it will get to benefit from that, and everyone else will be kind of left out outside the city walls, if you will. So we could explore that. We could explore the conspiracy theory. I mean, I don't know if there is a conspiracy theory like this, but it sounds like one when I say, I wonder if there's people behind the scenes watching, funding, having some control over the Mars exploration development that are actually, their motives are different than wanting to colonize Mars. Their motives are they want to find out what's the technology that's going to be needed to be able to keep living on Earth. We could explore that maybe.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't surprise me if that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So I could probably give you a confidence of that and we could discuss it.
Yeah. So the claim is there are people behind the scenes that are working towards developing the ability to live on Mars.
That are helping develop the technology to live on Mars, not with the goal of living on Mars, but with the goal of being able to use that technology to continue to live on Earth.
Okay.
And kind of keep it for themselves, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you think, and again, I go back to the sci-fi stuff, but like you think about like the Blade Runner world, where offshore colonies, you know, that the idea was that everyone kind of had to fucking leave Earth because it was just a shit show. And so, and of course that colors my imagination because I love that kind of stuff. That's why I got into film, was that very story was, so it appeals to me. So I'm sure on some level, subconsciously, my imagination's just running having a heyday with that idea. But it's not unforeseeable that we would fuck the planet up so much that it wouldn't be habitable anymore, except if you had the money to pay for the technology for that enclosed environment where it is safe to live, and then you get to ground level, or you're outside of a Earth dome, and you're just, you know, you're growing tumors, you're whatever, you know. It's
Almost like for self-preservation, not necessarily
Yes.
for exploration.
Yeah. That would be the conspiracy theory that I suppose, propose, is that there's people behind the scenes that are looking to self-preserve and not necessarily explore Mars.
And these people, this group of people with the financial means, are they? So do they get special information because they have a lot of money? Like how?
Yeah.
So okay. So let's. All right. So the claim is
Yeah.
there is a group of wealthy people currently working behind the scenes to develop technology for self-preservation, that they will eventually use and keep normal people from using.
Yeah, I would think because they'd have the control over who gets to come in and who doesn't. That, I mean, you're using the word normal, but I think privileged and unprivileged might be. But you're right, like your normal day-to-day people, like maybe you and I are normal people, let's say, because we're not super rich. But let's say you manage to connect with one of these super rich people and you're a normal person, but they're like, well, but we want David. We want David to be in here. So we're going to give you a pass or whatever.
For like their family and friends.
Yeah, family and friends. And shit, maybe even indentured servants at that point, you know?
People that they'll need to have with them to do the work for them.
Right.
The labor.
Right, assuming I'm going to try not to go too far on the conspiracy stuff, but assuming that AI and robotics haven't replaced the need for manual labor, because I suppose if that, and I think that's a future we're working towards right now, when that's the case, the only reason for humans to support each other is going to be to support each other. It's not going to be, well, I need an army of droogs to build my fucking pyramid, because the robots and AI will be able to do it. And so truly then we'll start to see I suppose compassionate acts from billionaires and things, so the super rich, the elite, the whatever you want to call it, because their motive for bringing David, for bringing you into the biodome, it wouldn't be because you can, you know, fucking do the crops or whatever it is, whatever grunt work they'd want you to do. That throughout history we have people have been exploited to do. It would really be because they just wanted to have you there.
Yeah,
there was some other value in you.
Or I can write code that controls the robots that does the labor, maybe.
Yeah, and then maybe we're looking at an indentured, because you'd be obliged to work for your accommodation. Yeah. Right.
So on the confidence scale, where 0 is no confidence, only questions, and 100 is no questions, only confidence, how confident are you currently that there's a group of people currently developing ways to continue to survive on Earth that they're going to keep for themselves and the people that they choose?
0 to 100. Yeah, I think it would depend what day you ask me and what mood I'm in, but I could see it fluctuate from as high as 80 to maybe a more optimistic outlook of being as low as 55. But I think it could be quite probable.
55 to 80? Where are you currently?
Well, right now I'm trying to be not pessimistic and trying to think, okay, well, there's hope, you know.
Pessimism aside, how confident are you that it's actually true? Like that it's
Yeah, I'm
that it's a
about
fact?
60. I'd say I'm at 60.
60?
Yeah. I'd say it's probably pretty fair to assume that could be happening.
What's the main reason that gets you to 60?
Yeah, history.
History.
Yeah.
You'd be more specific?
Sure. The history of people that have exploiting the people that have not, or excluding the people that have not. And we see it in as recently as civil rights, suffrage, and then we see it as recently as slavery, and then we see it going back through most civilizations where there was a kind of an elite group, aristocracy, whatever they were in Egypt, that were kind of that upper class citizen, and then sort of everyone else, the masses, who were, I mean, unfortunately we have a history of exploiting each other when given the opportunity to. You know, they say power corrupts, and I think that's an example of it, of the people that have wanting to keep the people that have not out of the haves and keeping getting shit done for them. So based on that, yeah.
So the main reason that gets you to 60, that there's a elite group of people that are developing the means to survive on Earth
Under the umbrella of Mars exploration.
under the umbrella of Mars exploration. Got it. Okay, yeah.
Right.
The main reason that gets you to 60 about that is the history of exploitation of people with financial means, exploit those without.
Yeah.
What would you need to see to get to 100?
I suppose, what do they call it? Leakage, or like when documents are leaked, or when... Because if this is happening, right, it's not happening in a vacuum. There's communication happening. There's there's probably a paper trail somewhere, or an email trail, or whatever. The meetings have to have happened. So if those meetings were leaked somehow, that's the word I was looking for, leaked. If that kind of information was leaked, well, that probably jumped me up to 100 pretty quickly.
To 100?
Yeah, close to it.
So, like, who's that, Julian Assange? The WikiLeaks
Is that what, yeah, I don't know.
guy?
Yeah. Was that the chap?
I think so.
Yeah.
If how would you find out about the leak, hypothetically?
On the news, I suppose. Yeah, I think...
So if a news source that you trust,
Right.
you turned on the radio in the morning or whatever,
BBC
and
News, probably, yeah.
BBC
World
News,
yeah.
breaking news, we've just got a report about a leak from
Tesla or SpaceX. Yeah, someone that works at SpaceX leaking these meeting minutes of these meetings that are hush-hush, that are taking place with just exactly what I'm talking about happening.
So the news report. To make it simple here, a news report from the BBC would get you to 100% confidence that this elite group is taking place.
Yeah, well, when you say it out loud, I think that would be a bit foolish to trust a news source to take me to 100. But I think it might bump me up to 95.
95.
And then I think actually seeing these documents and getting to examine them myself, and somehow having some kind of expertise or some reliable way to measure if these are true documents or not, because I suppose that could be fabricated. And I suppose this whole notion of fake news, I suppose that could be something that BBC World News picks up from what they think is a reliable source, and it turns out it's not. So I think up to 90 or 95, with like all the news outlets seem to be getting the same story, that this thing has been leaked. Yeah, I think to get up to 100, I'd need more. I'd need probably to be able to examine those documents for myself, and also have some way to verify. I don't know what that would be, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an analytics expert, but to know that those kind of people have had the chance to look over this. Yeah, because like when I think about like weapons of mass destruction, right, that was fabricated. Potentially that was fabricated. Seems to be it was fabricated from what we've learned. But we went to war over it anyway. So it would be foolish to jump to 100% just because I heard it on the news. Yeah.
But a BBC news report would probably get you the biggest leap, the biggest chunk.
Yeah, I think it's a more vetted source than like, I mean, I don't watch Fox News, but if everyone was saying, oh, Fox News reported that this has happened, but none of the other news outlets were reporting it,
It wouldn't bump you up very
I'd
much.
probably be at 60. Shit, I might even be at 58% if it came from them. I might think, oh, well then I might be barking up the wrong tree.
But you're currently at 60.
Yeah.
Okay. What is there anything that you could be presented with that would make your confidence go down?
If next week or next month, even a few of them got together, but I would have to say if they all just sort of decided, yeah, we are the 1%, we're going to do something. We're going to fund free housing for everyone. Let's say just that, free housing for everyone. We're going to change the housing market completely, because we're going to make housing a right instead of a like a privilege that you get towards.
Right.
Which, of course, would be a hard sell for Americans and English people, because, well, Americans more so, because everyone that owns a house now thinks that they've got a financial stability. Anyone that owns rental property, they don't want free housing for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think housing as a right is a pretty strange concept for Americans. But if you go to somewhere like the Netherlands, where housing is a right, you don't have homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
You have, everyone has access to housing, affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not free, but it's fucking affordable.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's just a cultural difference. But that kind of a gesture from, yeah, we'll call them the 1%,
Mm-hmm.
that would bump me down to a 25%, because that would be a true, not example, but a true
Demonstration.
Thank you. A true demonstration of, I know I'm fucking emperor rich, but I value human being. I value human life. And something like basic universal income, free healthcare, or housing as a right, free housing or affordable housing, that's something that we need right now. And so if the 1% took it upon themselves to provide that with all of their, I mean, if they just tapped into a percentage of the interest that they make on the money that they have,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they barely miss it. But it would be a hell of a gesture. And a gesture like that would make me think, you know what, we're not heading towards a us and them future. We're heading towards an equal future. That would, I mean, that might even drop me down lower than 25.
Mm-hmm.
If that happened, if
It'd be a significant lower.
it'd be
lowering.
hard. Yeah, it'd be hard for me to have a conspiracy theory, even though it's not. You know, this is the first time I've proposed it as a theory, but
Mhm.
it's occurred to me that might be a future that's being schemed towards behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it would be pretty hard for me to think that kind of thing's going on if that kind of a gesture was demonstrated.
So, a demonstration by the rich party.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah.
The rich party to make it to where there's universal basic income, affordable or free housing, and what was the other thing? Healthcare.
Socialized medicine.
Socialized medicine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Free
so
healthcare.
if they were responsible in making those three things happen,
Or even one of them.
one of them,
Yeah, because one of them would be significant. 3 of them would change the fucking world.
mm-hmm.
All 3 of those things would change this planet immediately. I think. If people didn't have to think about how they're going to earn money and didn't have to slog themselves at McDonald's, or what, they could choose to work at McDonald's instead of have to work at McDonald's. And they didn't have to fucking pay for their health care. It was just given to them as a right. And housing was a right instead of a luxury that they had to earn and work and be indentured to support.
Mm-hmm.
That would free up people's minds and focuses and energy and effort to, sure, some people are just going to sit around and get fat and do fuck all, but people that want to get something done, they're going to have the freedom to do that. And they're also not going to have the fucking stresses that right now most people have in one of those areas. You know, if you get sick in this country, you may as well take out a mortgage, especially if you get like helicoptered. If you get in an accident and get helicopter flown to a emergency ward, forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's just healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So if all 3 of those things changed at some point,
And if they were responsible,
well, no,
if they were the responsible party to do that,
I'm saying if they were the responsible party to provide one of those things,
then that would lower your confidence in that conspiracy statement.
yeah, Yeah, I would feel like
and
a
the
fucking
25.
idiot to say something like that if they did that, because it would hold no. Yeah, 60 would be laughable if they made a gesture like that, because it would be a hell of a gesture to say, you know what, we've got ours, we got more than enough. We want to make sure everyone else does. Fuck me.
Okay. Is it possible that they could be responsible in creating one of those things, and that conspiracy still be happening?
Right. It is. It is possible. It is possible that could be like a way to.
How likely would that be?
I think then you'd have to be getting into the mentally unfit territory if you were hanging on to, yeah, but still there's a conspiracy, and it'd be questionable. Certainly we've seen examples of it in history where it's like the bait and switch, where okay, pay attention to this, you've got free healthcare and we're still fucking you. I could see where that could be a possibility.
Do you want some more cider?
Yeah, I actually need to let some of this cider out. Do you want to keep rolling? I'll just piss behind a tree, or
Yeah, that's fine.
sorry.
Remember, it's the 360 can.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. I like how SC does that. Like, here I'm convincing myself, oh yeah, if people did this, then there's no way it could be a conspiracy. But then it could still be a fucking conspiracy. It could just be a bait and switch.
Yeah, like, what's the connection between creating UBI
And not.
and that meaning that there is not also a conspiracy like that happening? Like,
Yeah.
both
Okay.
could be. Both could, like. It's possible that that could be also happening. Both things could be true at the same time, right?
It is. I think it's a gesture. And I think the gesture's powerful for me. Like the idea that there would be the gesture that the super rich would do one of those three things. That's a gesture of compassion. That's a gesture of, we give a shit about humanity. It's not a gesture of, well, we don't care if some parts of humanity don't make it. Which is what we kind of see when we look at war, or when we look at famine and things like that. And we see people say, well, I've got enough food. Kids are starving in Africa. You and I probably were both raised with that. Eat your food. There's kids starving in Africa. People starving in Africa. But then, what do we do to stop people starving in Africa? Really not much, because we don't see it. But it's those people that do something, genuinely do something. That's a huge act of, giving, love, generosity, compassion, whatever you want to call it, because it can get into woo-woo language territory. But it's a genuine act. It's it's you helping a little old lady across the street instead of just, fuck you, get out of my way. It's a different way of behaving, and so it would go a long way for me.
Is there anything that would get you down to zero? Like, there's no way this conspiracy theory is happening right now.
Well, it's interesting. You were kind of. It seemed like you were thinking that I was suggesting that the rich provide all three of those things, and I was starting to get a little soapboxy about, well, if we had all three of those things, humanity would change forever. And so, I think if they did provide all of those things, so let's say free healthcare for everyone, universal basic income for everyone, free housing for everyone, and that was all paid for by this 1%, the same people that I'm supposing with this conspiracy that are actually secretly funding Mars exploration so that they can have terror domes on Earth.
That would get you down to zero?
That'd go a long way. And I suppose the thing that would get me down to zero would be them. Yeah, I don't know. Because now I'm But what I was going to say is them saying, oh, and by the way, you've all got tickets to go to space. We'll pay for you to go to space. We'll pay for you to be part of the Terror Dome. We'll pay for all of that. Because that's supposing that this conspiracy is even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it came to me that all the work we're doing to terraform or go and explore and colonize Mars is because I thought, oh, that's interesting. That same technology we could benefit from down here,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Like water or like creating water somehow, like
Right.
creating drinking water.
Yeah. Solar energy,
Yeah.
super efficient energy production, you know.
Protection from elements, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there a way that we could find out that this was happening?
Like you
For
and I
sure.
could find out, or one could find out? Is there a way I could find out? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking?
Is there a way that you and I could test this claim to see if it's actually likely the case? Like, true.
I mean, I guess we would have to go and work for SpaceX and climb our way up the ladder to be in a position of knowing all of the fingers, the pots that SpaceX has its fingers in.
We'd have to be involved in the project,
Yeah, I think so, right?
and that would be a test to find out if the conspiracy is going on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a more approachable, realistic. I guess I could do a documentary about the space exploration program and endear myself towards the people and, you know.
Be like a what do they call it? Where you're in. What is that?
A gonzo?
Well, like you're embedded.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
If you
yeah.
were like an embedded investigative documentarian,
Yeah.
that would be the test would be we would investigate it basically, right?
Yeah, we'd have to investigate. And we'd have to investigate pretty. I mean, it wouldn't just be, oh, let's go and ask so-and-so a question or see if we can get them on camera.
Mhm.
You'd have to embed. That's pretty appropriate, I think.
What do you think Elon Musk would say if somehow you were able to go up and ask him, hey, are you involved in this secret development plan about survival domes for Earth under the guise of Mars ones? What do you think he'd say?
Well, I'm not sure if I'd want to speculate.
Yeah,
Elon
just
Musk would say if I asked him a question.
I guess what would be an argument against this conspiracy theory? Like if somebody were to defend it not happening, what would be the best argument against it? Do you think?
Well, probably show me the evidence would be a pretty good argument. Like, I mean, I have literally pulled it out of my arse. I've been watching The Expanse, and I'm a big sci-fi fan, and my imagination runs riot.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think it would be too difficult to go, that's probably bullshit, because it sounds like bullshit as I say it. But then there's a part of me that thinks, man, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when Brexit came along. Oh my God, you people were going, oh, I can't believe it. I fucking could believe it. I knew something like that was possible, and it didn't surprise me at all. We didn't adopt the euro. We've always had this hands-off approach with Europe,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's Europe, that's not Britain. And so,
You're kind of on this other level.
yeah, it was pretty obvious to me that, yeah. So, if it was true that this conspiracy theory is more than just something I'm pulling out of my ass, I honestly wouldn't be that surprised. Again, given like some of the atrocities that that human beings have done to each other,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be that surprised if this is something that comes to pass.
And that investigation that we could do as documentarians, is that how you say it?
Libertarians?
Yeah. That investigation would be a way to tell if it was happening and if it was not happening, right? So like, there's a way to tell if it's not, if there what.
Yeah.
I guess
Could we
I'm
prove it's
getting
not
to
happening?
yeah, I'm getting to the falsification part. Like,
Sure.
is there a way to tell that this is not happening?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think there is a way to tell it's not happening. Elon Musk adopts you and I as his sons, even though I think we're probably not that far off in age. Like, we get so tight with Elon, because right now it's Elon and then Bezos, right? They're the main Mars, and Richard Branson, but like, Elon seems like he's gonna get there. Like, if I don't know what his fucking plan is and his end game is, because when you think about colonization, like, what government who has authority there? Is there going to be a Mars army? Is there going to be a Martian army? You know, because like, if Elon goes up there, he's a company, right? He's a corporation, but he's not a government. So how's that going to work? How are you going to govern Mars and the citizens of Mars? Be like a hippie commune until the fucking government of some China or somewhere shows up and says, all right, hippie commune, now it's us. We're taking over. I mean, unfortunately, that's the way we are. We didn't allow tribes to just stay tribes, and even tribes didn't allow other tribes to stay tribes. There's always this invasion kind of thing, and so to have a future where we colonize Mars, we're gonna have to figure out a governing system to be able to have a society there that functions. But I'm getting way off topic. What was the question?
Well, we were talking about how to find out if there is a way to find out if this is not true.
That's right.
That's the falsification
and so
part.
okay.
And I think we talked a little bit about the investigation.
Yeah, I think that would be a way. There would be if you could really get embedded and really gain the trust of those that are in those positions of authority, the people that are like the silent, what do you call it, the angel investors, the people that are funneling money into these things, because it's not all Elon's money, it's not all Tesla profits. Like, they had to generate capital at some point to get this venture off the ground. If you could do an investigation that found out about all those sources of income or money, whatever,
Follow the money.
follow the
Trail.
money. Yeah, now I'm starting to sound like fucking Mulder and Scully.
Yeah.
Follow the money. Follow the money trail.
The truth is out there.
Way out there. The truth's out there, bro. Yeah, I think that'd be one way. And then another way would be, you'd have to get in tight with Elon to like have his confidence to then, know him well enough to know. Because at some point you'd get close enough with him where he'd tell you all his shit, right? Like, if you were his therapist, or I'm sure like his wife must
You
know.
could give him some truth serum or something.
Well, yeah, if that was a real thing. I don't know if that's a real thing, but truth serum would be a way to force it. What I'm suggesting is if you built a relationship with Elon, and it would have to be a genuine one, to where he had so much trust in you that you knew he was sharing everything with you. You were his boy.
He would confide in you.
He'd confide in you, yeah. So then you'd know. That'd be a way to falsify it, is to find out, okay, I know him, we're like this. Elon and I are like this now. After all the years we've known each other, he came to my 15th kid's christening, he's, all of this, we're tight, we're like that. And there's none of this shit is real. That'd be a way to falsify it, yeah. But there's got to be like you're looking for something a little bit more approachable than that, right? 'Cause
Not necessarily. Just
something.
whatever would convince you, I guess. So, now that we've talked about this, and this might sound like a weird question,
Okay.
Are you still at 60%?
Yeah. Yeah, now that I've had the opportunity to say it out loud and hear, yeah, this thing that was just kind of a thought, like an earworm almost, as in terms of thoughts. I don't know if I would put 60. I don't think I would put it at a 60. Even on my most pessimistic days, where I said I could go up to 80. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm as high as 60. I'm definitely not higher than 60 after talking about it. I'd like to think I was down to like 35 or something. Because I think reason is kicking in pretty loud, you know, that, okay, that sounds pretty paranoid for me to be thinking that that's people's plan, the 1%'s plan.
60 isn't where you want to be, it sounds like.
I'd love to not be at 60, yeah.
But it sounds like you are open to moving up and down based on based on the information that you get.
Yeah, I'm not stubborn about it. And maybe that would be a better belief to explore, or something that I'm like, no, I'm 60 on this. Because those are probably some of the more interesting conversations, right? The ones where someone's locked in.
Yeah, or if they're at 100. Or if they're at 0.
But then there's the fear that you're just never going to reach them, right? Some people start at 100 and it doesn't matter what tools you use. They're just not critically thinking.
Right. I think the idea is, even if they don't move on the scale, and usually when they do move, it's between talks, like it's on their own.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not happening during the conversation.
I mean, it could, but usually that happens way after. But the idea is
when they come back for their blue piece.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Shit, sorry.
Just having some sort of shift in thinking to where they come up with things on their own that they haven't thought about, maybe.
Yeah.
I kind of want to critique myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe you can give me some feedback about, I felt like I kind of poked holes in, especially during the part where I said something like, well, couldn't both things happen where they could give UBI and the conspiracy theory still be happening? Like,
Yeah, well, I tell you, what was the question I would have for you is, what was your motive when you were delivering that? Because I can tell you how it landed, and I will, but what was your motive in doing that? It seemed like you had good intentions, because the way you delivered it was like you were reading that I wasn't quite sure, and this would be a good time to poke holes, as you say. But I think you were poking holes respectfully. Do you feel like you kind of blundered your way into that?
well, I think it is maybe a little bit of shift of my approach in terms of, because the way that people have told me and the way that I see it sometimes is like, I'll build all these report points,
Yeah, yeah.
and next thing I know, I'm like Scrooge McDuck swimming in this big tank of rapport coins,
Okay, yeah.
and I never spend it.
Okay, yeah.
And so trying to be a little bit more mindful of when it's appropriate
Yeah, yeah.
to spend those report points that you've earned
Take some
instead of
risks.
just saving them in your piggy bank.
That's what it felt like you did, yeah. It felt like you built rapport, you let me spout my fucking nonsense. Not the people you're talking with are spouting nonsense, but, you know.
You kind of aired it out.
Yeah, you let me air it out. You let me get it out, get it off my chest. You gave me the audience. You heard, you listened. You gave me I had the impression you were listening. I had the feedback you were listening because you were paraphrasing. So, yeah, I think that was a skillful use of your report, your Scrooge McDuck coins. You didn't just bank them, you spent them. And you chose when to spend them.
Mm-hmm.
He chose wisely. Yeah. Because it happened, I can tell you from this side of the table, I didn't feel ridiculed by it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like I was going to shut down. I didn't feel like, okay, well now he's just making fun of me or trying to provoke me. Or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that was a pretty skillful building of rapport and then spending of rapport points. Yeah, that was really well done. It felt respectful. Yeah, it felt genuine. It felt like it was coming from a place of helping me, realizing that I was at a place of, oh shit, but is that enough?
Yeah.
And you just filled in the words. You just said it out loud. So I don't know if you could tell that that's what's happening in me.
Yeah, it seemed like when I was spending those rapport points, that's when a lot of the shifting on your end was happening.
Okay, yeah.
Just from your body language.
Yeah. Oh, really? What was happening with my body language? What were the tells?
Looking up
Okay. Pondering.
and going, like you have this kind of,
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable now.
Right. I no longer trust what I'm saying.
I'm not as confident, maybe.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I'm curious to watch this now and then see that shift happen.
Yeah, it's still blinking red, so
Still going, yeah.
yeah. Well, that was good. I've never examined a claim like that before. So it was good practice.
Yeah, I bet there's going to be some fucking out of left field things thrown at you
Mm-hmm.
that if you can handle them the way you did this, you know, because you didn't for once make me, I felt ridiculous saying it, and of course you're not going to have that. People that genuinely have a conspiracy theory, they're going to be like, well, I'm at fucking 87 to 97 on this, and who the fuck are you? And so you're going to have a lot more resistance, but you're going to have to be skillfully curious instead of mockingly curious.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that regard, this was good, and it was a brilliant conversation for me to have, to get that out, because it genuinely was something that I've been thinking about. Was, man, I wonder if this Mars fucking thing. Well, I think it started from me thinking all these lessons we're learning trying to go to Mars, we can use some of this tech here to make life a little easier. You know, when it is 104 degrees every fucking day during July.
Yeah. It seems pretty reasonable that that's already happening. Not necessarily in a cover kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think and I think you're right. I think me jumping to a conspiracy theory, this is the first time, given that we were trying to test this stuff out, it's the first time I've taken it to that level. I think I was coming from a place of, oh, there's double benefit. We're trying to figure out how to purify water on Mars, and we can use that, you know, here.
Right. I think this is a good example to bring up the, what is it? It's like Occam's Razor, the theory of parsimony, where a claim with the least amount of assumptions is the one that's more likely to be accurate. And so we have people are developing ways to live on Mars, and in doing so, they're also figuring out ways to live on Earth.
Right.
Okay, so that we've got that. But on top of that, we've added, and it's a conspiracy to keep it under, you know, on the down low.
Right. And just for the 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an added assumption
Okay.
where it's more likely that the claim with the least amount of assumptions is likely the case. I think a more popular example of this is the claim that Mary works at a bank. Mary works at a bank and is a liberal.
Oh, okay.
It's less likely that she's both than just the person working at a bank.
Well, that's observation versus speculation, though, right? Or do we know she's a liberal?
Exactly. That
Okay.
so
Oh,
so
that's
so it's more likely that she works at the bank than she works at a bank and a liberal. So you're adding something to the claim.
okay.
So the more things that you add to a claim, the less likely the whole claim is to be. That makes the likelihood go down because there's more things that need to be in place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you want to do one?